So joining me in studio to discuss the future of Māori church boarding schools, Education Minister Hekia Parata and Minister of Māori Development to Ururoa Flavell. Ikaroa Rāwhiti MP Meka Whaitiri was going to join us in studio today but couldn't because of a previous commitment. However, we do have some interesting comments from her. Nō reira, tēnā kōrua. Lack of students and administration difficulties are some of the main reasons for a potential closure of Turakina. Do you take into account the cultural and historical significance of these Māori boarding schools when you're making a decision like this?
Absolutely. So the first thing to say is that it has been a very difficult decision to make to initiate consultation about this. And it has come after 10 years of an increasing decline and the past 3 years of intensive activity with Turakina. This is not a sudden out-of-the-blue decision or discussion. We have put a limited statutory manager into that kura, and that she has been there for over 3 years now. We've talked with the school consistently over that period of time, and we've tried to provide whatever support we can. But what it comes down to in the end is that the church is the proprietor and owns the school buildings and the hostel. The government funds the staffing, the everyday operational costs, the boarding scholarships, the boarding allowances, the additional support that might be required. But unless parents choose to send their daughters to Turakina, the school becomes unviable, and that's the situation we've reached.
Is it just what Awarangi Jury was saying there, that the school needs to readjust itself so it becomes more relevant in today's setting?
Well, the thing to know is that today is a challenge for all boarding schools, not just Māori boarding schools, because there are just more choices available. We saw ngā Taiātea, we saw Taiwānanga. We now have just under 300 schooling options across New Zealand, kura a iwi, kura kaupapa, tai awatea, and schools like that. And so the hostel side of it is a struggle for all schools, and it particularly is so for Māori.
And that's an important point, Ururoa, because, I mean, Tā Peter Sharple's got his knighthood this week, and one of his legacies is starting kura kaupapa Māori, but do you think the advent of kura kaupapa Māori was the beginning of the end for Māori boarding schools?
Cole, I think that, I mean, might have been a part of it, but I mean the issues that we face now are issues that boarding schools will face for some time. Pēnei tā te mini te kōrerona. The ability to support the hostel side of the school is at the hub of the issue. Ne? Sure, there's some academic issues to be dealt with, but most of those, you know, in the schools are okay. There's mechanisms to monitor that. Engari, ko te mate ke, ko pāmai ki ngā kura anoho, Māori nei, ko te āhuatanga o te hononga ki te hāhi, ki te taha kura, kamutu ko ngā whakahaere, o te āhuatanga o te kura. E tāi ana rānei te utu ngā nama, kaore rānei. Koe nei nā take nui e pāna ki ngā kura Māori katoa I tēnei wā, I pērā rawa te āhuatanga ngā te kau Māori matau kua hipāke.
Actually, can I say that we didn't, but government passed an act in 1975 called the Private Schools Conditional Integration Act, which was recognised then in 1975 that the church-based schools were having problems in maintaining their schools, and that's when they became state-integrated schools, and that is what all the Māori boarding schools are now. So there have been increasing challenges from the time when they, you know, started, I suppose, in the late 19th century, and the likes of Sir Āpira Ngata and all those other great people went through. And by the way, there have been great Māori leaders coming out of all sorts of schools. It's not that the Māori boarding schools have a monopoly.
Very true.